start this review with a confession. We don't like massive ships. When I say massive, anything north of 2,000 passengers and we get all unsteady at the thought of being penned in with so many other people. Actually, with one exception, the Queen Mary 2, but that's another video for another time. So when we took the opportunity to sail on P&O's bombastically muscular flagship the Britannia, we relished the opportunity to explore the ship, but not the thought of sharing recycled air with 4,000 other lungs. Actually, that would be 8,000 lungs, not including the ship's company, wouldn't it? Imagine the queues for the theatre shows, the scrum at the self-service restaurant, the hopeless crusade to find an empty pair of sunbeds without resorting to the ones next to the kitchen extractors or the smoking area. Ugh. So, our head filled with claustrophobic terrors reminiscent of one of those scenes in The Walking Dead, where hundreds of zombies are all crammed into a warehouse, clawing at the windows and doors. Yes, it's a bit of a drastic and unrealistic comparison. In fact, it would be a great idea to do a zombie cruise movie, wouldn't it? I think it would look something like this. Something's missing. Perfect. But were our rather grisly exaggerated fears justified? Please be assured, there are no more zombies in this review, unless you include the very old people asleep and catching flies around the pool. Yes, you've all seen them, don't deny it. Being used to ships that hold 2,000 passengers or less, we decided that, armed with a no expenses spared budget, because the fare price was aggressively cheap to begin with, we would challenge ourselves to have a small luxury ship experience on this huge and populated ship. Would it be even possible? Here's 5 reasons why we think we succeeded, and a few reasons why we nearly didn't. Oh, and before we begin, please consider hitting the old subscribe button. We've got lots more to show you, so make sure you're on board. Thanks. The cabin we were allocated was at the rear on G-deck, just above the live lounge. To be honest, there was no noise from the club below, but you get a fair amount of what I can only imagine is propeller vibration back here. It seemed worse some nights than others. I'm sure there was an explanation for it, but we couldn't figure it out. Sometimes it was loud and shaky though. P&O aren't fussy about you taking your own booze on board. So creating that all-inclusive feel as you get ready for the evening, you can have as many glasses of wine or gin and tonics as you can muster while remaining upright. That example relies on getting your hands on tonic water and ice, of course, and if you can find bits of lemon in the Horizon self-service. Small ship experience? Tenuous at best. But hey, if we renamed the cabin a stateroom or suite, we'd get right in the mood. The stateroom is small but well designed. The bathroom was nice and there was a walk-in wardrobe by the bathroom that gave the impression of a larger room. The TV system was modern and loads of box sets, films and channels were available on demand. The tea and coffee making facilities were of a decent quality and the room was decorated with bright and modern details. The sliding patio door to the balcony is much better than a side-hung door as it doesn't encroach on your balcony when open. However, in this instance, there is a reason for this. The balcony is narrow. It's bordering on being a ledge. No 6-star experience here, unless you're very small and of narrow build. But most nights we sat on our ledge with our knees against the glass, with a pre-dinner measure of smuggled-on wine, and that was just fine. One night in the Britannia's main Peninsula restaurant confirmed our desire to spend the rest of the week in the specialty restaurants. The meal we had there was bland and devoid of any flourishes, flavour or seasoning. Our waiters were so uninterested I thought we'd seriously offended them somehow, and both of us being of a gentle nature, we spent the evening in a state of eyes to the floor, apologetic remorse. Although for what, I couldn't tell you. Maybe someone who looked like us was terribly rude to them recently. Don't know. Not a great experience. Perhaps this was a sneaky P&O way of getting us to spend money on their premium dining venues. Well, it worked. Sindhu, the Indian restaurant, was one of the highlights. A suitably themed venue, staffed by people that really pay attention to you and provide amazing service. Every course of food was outstanding. Every aspect of this venue was outstanding, to be honest. Here's some pictures, although I can't remember what dishes the food actually were, so sorry about that. The Glass House is a small venue to one side of the ship, and is more of a wine bar with food than a dedicated restaurant per se. Its food is one of the small plate, large plate style similar to tapas, and we absolutely loved it. As these pictures show, each plate is presented stylishly, and it really is as good to eat as it looks. If someone was to blackmail me and insist I came here every night, I'd say, put those incriminating photos away, I'll come here anyway. The Beach House is a venue they set up within the Horizon Buffet restaurant in the evenings. This serves Americana-style food like burgers, ribs, sizzler plates and corn chowder. We had the tacos, potato skins and the sizzler plate. Well, hot diggity. It's not fine dining, but it is fine, and you get quite a lot. Top of the Britannia food chain is definitely the Epicurean restaurant. It's the most expensive place to eat, and it's clear why the moment you walk in. The venue is immaculate, the staff so attentive, you want to hug them, and the food is so elegant and delicious, you won't want to leave and you'll forget all the love you had for the Glass House and want to come back every day. Sorry, Glass House. You're great, but my head has been turned by your bigger sister. Look at the following montage and I dare you not to fall in love. With all that food gently caressing our insulin levels into expanding our waists, no 6-star ship would be without those beautiful quiet areas where you can doze and dream of your next meal. But where do you go on Britannia that will give you just that? At the beginning of the voyage, we took up the embarkation day offer of the retreat and spa package that sounded too good to resist, and we didn't regret it one bit. The retreat lies at the top of the ship, right at the front, shielded from the throng by some hefty wooden doors and some impenetrable partitioning. You enter by means of a card system, a different card to your room card. Once inside, you are presented with a tranquil luxury padded sanctuary, complete with round day beds, 2 beautifully empty hot tubs, and a sort of bar kitchen area where you can get drinks, snacks, and a healthy daily menu offering, brought out at meal times, all set to low-level, easy listening music. The weather on our trip was a bit hit and miss, but we spent an awful lot of prime of the day here. It never got busy, to the point where we had his and hers hot tubs if we felt we needed to behave like the aristocracy. Because of the weather, I'm guessing, this place never got more than 10% full, and the staff here were exceptional. They didn't let you lift a finger and were always on hand to hand you more towels, bring you drinks and food, and tidy up all the rubbish you were creating. It really felt like a 6-star experience in here. It was only when the wind was blowing in the wrong direction, and the lunchtime melee around the main pool involving a manic DJ, whose only goal in life was to crank his ridiculously huge sound system up to 11, that you were reminded you were on a huge ship with a huge number of people. The spa was equally as inviting, if a little busier than the retreat at times. We splashed and floated and laid and dozed and dripped and sweated in here every day, and it never got boring or repetitive. It complemented our luxury seating area perfectly, even if they were a decent trek from one another. But then again, with a ship this size, everything is a decent trek from everything else. One perfectly sized venue worthy of a 6-star ship was the Limelight Club, a small club lounge and dance floor where you pre-book an evening, for a fee of course, and you get a really nice 3-course meal. Yes, really, really nice. And then afterwards you stay at your table and sip your drink while your star of yesteryear does a decent length show. It was intimate and felt very small ship. We saw Jackie Graham, a regular on Britannia, who was at her popular peak in the 80s, which seems to be the era most of the entertainers are from. If you enjoyed the 80s, or at least old enough to remember them, then you'll probably enjoy it more than, say, a millennial. Sitting in the retreat one evening, it became apparent that there was a fair amount of commotion going on outside our protected teak walls. Setting out from our cocoon, we were assaulted by some extremely loud goings-on around the main pool. It was heaving with Union Jack waving passengers, some doing the actions to YMCA, some to Agadoo, and some just doing random gyrations. There was red, white and blue everywhere, and all the entertainment staff were around the pool, throwing some shapes, getting down with the kids and generally encouraging batty behaviour. What was with all the flags? Was there a royal wedding? Yet another Queen's Jubilee? A UKIP rally? Nope. It was the signature Great British Sail Away. If I call it subtle, I'd be lying. If I called it sensitive to pro-Europeans in our post-Brexit fractured society, I'd also be lying. The fact that we were leaving France, apart within the European Union just after the Brexit vote, in such a brazen and colourful way, Rule Britannia actually blasted out on those Gatling gun speakers in the direction of the shore. It seemed less of a celebration of all things Britannia and more of a middle finger to our bewildered French brothers. Everyone was having fun though, so I must have been alone in wondering what the French thought. Perhaps it was the French blood in me that was tugging at my conscience. Nevertheless, feast your senses on the following montage and make your own judgment. Okay, while we're in moany old git mode, we also found that in the evenings most of the entertainment venues were rammed with people. For instance, we meandered to the live lounge at the rear of the ship after evening dinner and found that although we were 5 minutes early, the venue was so full, people were standing in the doorways, lining the walls, and there was literally nowhere to sit or stand, making any sort of post-dinner fun impossible. Also, the theatre is dreadfully small for the amount of people on board. Again, unless you get there at least half an hour early, there was no way of securing even 2 seats together. We've not had this problem before on any ship, to be honest. Also, the single-tier, fairly flat design gave a feeling of mild claustrophobia, unlike the high-ceiling, double-height theatres of most ships. We got to one show, but that's because we got there 45 minutes early. P&O also make a thing about being proud to serve Costa coffee around the ship. For the benefit of non-British viewers, Costa are a large UK chain of coffee shops akin to Starbucks. Great, I thought. At least we can get a proper coffee. Alas, the Costa coffee is not lovingly ground, tamped and prepared by highly trained baristas. It is basically drawn from one of the several identical machines dotted around the bars of the ship with the touch of a button. Want a latte? Sure, presses latte button. No, P&O. This is not barista coffee, this is upmarket vending machine coffee. Oh, marketing. Why must you be so full of shit? So, the challenge was to have a 6-star experience on a massively family, non-6-star cruise ship. Did we succeed? Predominantly, yes, but only because we spent lots of extra cash. The Britannia is a wonderful ship. It is modern, beautiful inside, and has more than enough facilities to keep most people happy. Our 7-night cruise in a guaranteed balcony room cost us £599 each, which we thought was a bit of a bargain. Our extras bill, though, ran to over £600 for the week, which includes gratuities, the retreat and spa, our bar bill, which was a large glass of wine and a cocktail most nights and a coffee most days, and all the speciality dining. So in total the week cost us around £1,800 or £900 each. That's not bad value when you consider what Britannia can offer in premium services. Would we do it again? Most definitely. No, we are not keen on these massive ships. They still make us a little nervous. But you can create a partial illusion that you're not really on it, which probably sounds contradicting as to why you would cruise on a large ship anyway. Does that make sense? I'm confusing myself now. What do you think of Britannia? Please leave a comment below and we'd love to hear from you. If you've liked this video, please give it the old thumbs up. And as mentioned at the beginning, please consider subscribing to our little labour of love. Just hit that button. It really means a lot to us. Thank you.